This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rajni Jain on behalf of agricultureinformation.com. I'd like to welcome you to this online meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Rajini. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lakshmipati and I'll be moderating this meeting. Agricultureinformation.com likes to welcome to this meeting Dr. Anand Prakash, a post-harvest management specialist at Ecozen Solutions, Pune, Maharashtra. Dr. Anand Prakash will be speaking on the topic influence of pre-cooling and cold chain logistics for post-harvest shelf life extension of perishables. I now request the speaker to begin.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're quite audible.
Okay, fine, sir. Thank you. So thank you for the kind introduction. So at the outset, I'd like to thank agricultureinformation.com for giving us an opportunity to present the kind of work we are doing and the kind of scientific approach we are following to curtail the post-harvest losses in India. So the topic of my presentation is influence of pre-cooling and cold chain logistics for post-harvest shelf life extension of perishables. So I'll just brief you about what would be the flow of the meeting. So basically, I'll just initially tell you about the kind of problem, the kind in the field of post-harvest, which is there in India. Number two, what are the scientific reasons behind it? Number three, how we can tackle it? And number four, what are the success stories which we are having, which are interventions? So starting ahead. Okay, I'm not. Fine. So just to start with the basic background, the problem which we do have is India is the second largest producer of fresh fruits and vegetables, as we all know. But the problem with this is, out of these, even in spite of being the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in India, around 45%, and in some 30 to 40%, depending on the area and other factors, is already the post is there, and which is in tune of around 926, which is a very huge money. Dollars occur during either post-harvesting stages or handling or storage practices. Harvesting stage, or now to add in all, there was recently the global hunger index was calculated, and this is done every year. And the sad part is that India's position has, as of now, in the 116 countries, has now come to 101st position, and which is behind our neighbors like Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal. And in India, with the population estimated to be rising in near future to be too much, the situation looks very green. And maybe this definitely calls for an action that how we can curtail these post-harvest losses so that the farmers are benefited and at the same time all of them are not hungry, at least in India. Now, to have an insight that what are the basic reasons of these post-harvest losses. Now, we talked about the problem. Now, understanding that how these problems are associated. Now, the thing is, in India, there are several factors which actually causes this post-harvest losses. But one of the major reasons is lack of proper infrastructure, wherein we do not have integrated pack house, or we do not have, even if we have the proper pre-cooling and all is not there, and we don't even have proper number of refrigerated trucks and cold storages. Now, this is a data which was published by NCCD, wherein a huge gap is found, wherein around 69,000 numbers of integrated pack house are in fact not there in India, and likewise there is a huge gap in the refrigerated trucks and cold storage as well. So if you look at the current scenario, the situation really looks green. Now, to understand this further, let us look at what is the proper logistic flow chain in the horticulture. So generally, farmers produce either it goes for a post-harvest, and then depending on the commodity, it is processed and then distributed, and it reaches the customer. Now, this is the general thing which generally happens. Now, what we want to try is that can we modify these logistic flow in India, so that the post-harvest losses which occur so harvest losses before reaching the customer is actually curtailed. Is do a pre-cooling when the field heat is removed. The first step is we initially be telling about this in detail in my subsequent slides. Thereafter, it's transferred to a refrigerator. Temperature is maintained. Thereafter, once it reaches from a long haul transport, it could be stored in the cold storages, and thereafter in refrigerated conditions it could be distributed, and the final consumer could get it. So at different stages, we are intervening cold storages. Now, what is the reason behind this? Probably this graph could make you understand better. Now, this is a graph which certainly shows that the most of the post-harvest losses which happens in the Western country is not at the initial stage, that is storage or handling, but in the consumer stage. But as far as India and few other Latin America or African countries is there, the post-harvest do happen in the initial stages, that is in handling or storage stages. So we do require initial intervention with lots of investments and a lot of people coming together so that the problem can be solved. So just to give an idea, what is the current state of cold chain in India? Now, the sad part is around what we have is only 10% of the cold storage facilities, which should be of the actual numbers which should be there. And most of them are for commodities like milk, pharmaceuticals, and the majority of is actually dedicated to the potato. And therefore, if we want to increase the farmers' income, double the farmer incomes, there is definitely a need wherein the storage and the transportation facilities of these food crops could be increased. Now, moving further, now we already told about the problem and what are the reasons behind it. And so coming to the solution part, that we told that cold chain has to be integrated. So how does this cold chain is able would help it? So basically as we are respiring commodities, all these perishables are also a respiring commodity, wherein these source of energy, that is carbohydrate, is broken down, and CO2 and water and as an end product, energy is produced. Now, what typically happens at low temperature is this entire respiration rate goes down, therefore the metabolic rate goes down, and therefore the shelf life is increased. And the temperature plays very important role, wherein the temperature increase every 2 to 4 very significantly affects with every 10-degree increase in temperature, and therefore significantly the shelf life of the commodity, wherein in this graph you could clearly see that it's very high. So each different kind of different rates of respiration. Some falls in a very high respiration rate category, like avocado, cauliflower, etc. Some are in medium range like banana, and some are in the lower range like citrus and all. Now, to cap this up, if we also want to increase further our shelf life, we also need controlled atmosphere, wherein an additional carbon dioxide is there, or in a way that O2 is consumed so that the respiration rate further goes down and the shelf life is increased. So this could be an added advantage over the temperature effect. And these are some of the commodities wherein you could see that different temperatures and different atmospheric conditions are required for different fruits as well as different vegetables. And to top of that, so understanding the science behind it, it is so because at a very low temperature, the enzymatic activity of the commodity of many of the enzymes actually are at a lower stage. And likewise, we could also see that a certain kind of vitamins like vitamin C, nutritional retention could also be there in cold storage in comparison to the ambient storage. So we could have a win-win situation where the quality is also improved and that at the same time the nutritional value is also retained. Now, that was one part of the story where I was talking about temperature. Likewise, a second factor comes in which we call as relative humidity. So you might have seen in day-to-day practice that sometimes the commodity, even if you keep in fridge, it gets shriveled or the texture is disoriented. This is basically because of the loss of moisture from it, and that is nothing but the relative humidity. So in this practice, we also need to have a proper relative humidity maintenance, wherein the appearance of the commodity is also saved, and likewise the shelf life is also increased. So in general, most of the fruits and vegetables have a relative humidity in the range of 90 to 95%. So till now we have covered that what are the problem, what is the science behind. Now moving further, now we told there are three things wherein the intervention needs to be done. First is at the initial stage, that is the pre-cooling stage, wherein the commodity has to be properly sorted, graded. So in pre-cooling is nothing but wherein we try to remove the field heat, and thereafter the horticulture produced is cooled, and it depends on different commodities at what temperature it has to be there, so that the energy is reduced, and thereafter we could say that the shelf life of the commodity could be increased. So there are different types of pre-cooling. These are them, that is room cooling, forced air cooling, water or hydro cooling, ice cubing, and vacuum cooling. So I'll just tell one by one about these pre-coolers. So the first one is room cooling, wherein the sample is loaded in a room, and wherein the temperature goes down because of the temperature or the lower temperature of the room, and herein no additional gas, no additional air is passed through it. But this is a very low cost and slow method. So what typically we do, and most of the market practices do, is wherein we follow forced air cooling, wherein forced air is pushed through the through these commodities, and with the help of different vents and holes, these air goes into this commodity, and thereafter the commodity temperature drops down. There are other ways like hydro cooling and ice cooling, wherein either use of cold water is done or ice is done. But again, these are very commodity specific. And the last one being vacuum cooling, wherein the water evaporation takes place at a very low temperature. So of course the uniform cooling will happen, but the capital cost of this is very high. So once the commodity is pre-cooled, it has to be transported through a refrigerated condition. So this is just a case study about the importance of pre-cooling in a very I would say a delicate commodity like strawberry. So this was a study done in USA, wherein what they did, they tried different treatments, wherein one of the cases they did very prompt pre-cooling within a few hours, and they brought a final temperature to 1.7. Likewise, there were other alterations where either the pre-cooling prompt pre-cooling was not there, or either even if it was delayed, the temperature was made to a higher temperature. Now what they could and this had a travel time of 40 hours. So at destination, what they saw was the treatment wherein prompt pre-cooling was there and the final temperature was brought down to the desired temperature. This was best among all the other treatments, which clearly indicated that the prompt pre-cooling and bringing it to a desired temperature is very much essential. So in our practice also, it is very much essential that a prompt pre-cooling is done. Thereafter, once the pre-cooling is done, it has to be transported via refrigerated transportation, wherein it tries to maintain the lower temperature of the commodity and tries to remove the excess heat of it. And likewise, so what typically happens is the air is forced, and it goes through the commodity, and thereby the temperature is maintained. So this is a typical example what we generally see in these containers. And this is how it is done, wherein refrigerated air is passed and it passes to the commodity. And likewise, the commodity is cooled, and in the process, so it is very much required that it should have proper holes, and so that the ventilation could be proper. Now there are few practices which many people in India do, where the stacking is not proper, or these holes are not there. So that definitely leads to quality losses in the long term. Now this was second part. Finally, when it reaches to the desired place, it has to be stored in the cold storages. So what this, as we had already discussed about the significance of the temperature and relative humidity, this will again finally help in extending the shelf life based on the commodity to commodity, wherein the enzymatic action is degraded, the water loss is also curtailed, the microbial growth, which is responsible for the post-harvest loss in the commodity, is also inhibited. And likewise, as the temperature is less, the metabolic activity is also less, and some of these hormones like phytohormones like ethylene, which is responsible for senescence of these, is also at a lower stage, and thereby the shelf life of the commodity is extended. And this is a typical photo wherein you could see that at what commodity, at what relative humidity, what storage expected life we could expect. Say, for example, apples, it could be stored for very longer period of time, whereas in case of strawberry, it doesn't have more than 5 days of life. And that is how we categorize these commodities in different categories, that is very low, high, moderate. So some of them are highly perishable like strawberries and cauliflower, some of them are high perishable like grapes, likewise moderate, and some of them are relatively okay, which have a longer storage period. And that is how also the cold chain segmentation is also divided, wherein apple could have a shelf life of 3 months to 10 months, wherein these could be stored for a longer period of time, and then some of them have a very shorter shelf life. And this is something which is a combination of what we have been discussing of the different processes. Like each commodity will require a different type of the pack housing and the logistic flow, depending on the requirement and the shelf life. Say, suppose for example, it has to be initially brought to a cold storage hub, and thereafter it has to be further processed. But in some of the commodities, that process might not be necessary. So what we expect in future, that if in India we want to curtail the post-harvest losses, there should be a cold chain network wherein even if the origin is somewhere else, and even if we want to have a fresh and a very good shelf life at a relatively far difference, a very good network of cold chain is there, right from pre-cooling to refrigerated trucks to cold storage, and then also through the last mile delivery wherein the refrigeration is used. So we could definitely have a lesser post-harvest loss in India. So this was about the basic science. Now I'll just briefly brief you about what we as a company have been doing. So this is one of our products, that is EcoFrost. So this is basically the normal cold storage are generally run on a grid, but the advantage of this is it basically runs on solar, and it has a good battery backup, and it has a capacity of 5000 kg, and pre-cooling is 500 to 1000 kg. And the basic advantage is this is totally portable. So one of the basic problems which small farmers have is that the whole cold storage has to be shifted, but since this is portable, it could be taken from one place to another. Likewise, we have other technological integrations in it, like we can remotely monitor it and see that what is the temperature, what is the humidity in it. So that is the advantage, and that is what I was talking about, IoT, inbuilt IoT, wherein in any kind of refrigeration leak or whatever is the temperature RH, we could easily find it out. And that is the advantage. And likewise, we also have an integrated app with it, wherein in normal farmers, even if they don't know what is the temperature, humidity, here in with just a click they could keep it, and then set the how much quantity is needed, and everything will be taken place. And at any given point of time, we could minute by minute and any data we could find it out. So that is the advantage of this EcoFrost. Likewise, we have a second product, which is Ecotron, which is again a solar based pumping system, wherein we offer this control systems with these solar power panels and these pumps as well. So herein also the USP we have is that we have an IoT wherein any form of whatever is the daily flow or anything could be remotely monitored. Now, having said about these product offerings, now whatever problem was there, I'll just brief you through some of the success stories which we had in future, like in the past, like in the case of capsicum. So what happens is the farmer, if they don't get if the produce is very high in quantity, and even if they don't get proper price, they are bound to sell it, because the commodity will not sustain. But with these interactions of these cold chain and through intervention of our EcoFrost, the same commodity could be stored at a better time, through a longer period of time, say suppose for capsicum for 10 days. And when the price is high, the farmers are able to sell it. And that is how the farmers have a win-win situation, where the quality is also retained. They are also able to get a higher price. Likewise, this is a success stories of a very perishable commodity, which is lychee, which is majorly grown in regions of Bihar. So what generally happens is, from these regions of Samastipur, which is located, or Muzaffarpur, which is there in Bihar, generally the commodity is transferred either through rail or train, and in the process, if it is a air transport, the transportation goes high. But we bought in a unique system wherein we developed a technology, wherein we had unique packaging systems, wherein the entire commodity was transported through a refrigerated container, and initially it was pre-cooled, and we sold it in the Pune market, which had a very negligible pericarp browning. Likewise, we have also worked with strawberries, wherein we know that Mahabaleshwar is known for good strawberries. But the normal practice is that it is transported to other places like Bangalore, Delhi, or even in Mumbai. So this is transported through normal vehicles, wherein the commodity is not pre-cooled. But we have few innovative interjections, wherein we try to change the atmosphere of the commodity. We try to pre-cool it, and with the help of refrigerated transport, we are able to maintain a better shelf. We are able to get an extended shelf life and a better quality of these strawberries. Likewise, there are few stories with flowers as well, wherein in places like Ahmednagar, if the market is not there, in Hyderabad the market is there, with the help of these EcoFrost units, they're able to sustain it, keep it for a longer period of time, and sell it as and when it is required. And likewise, this is the story of Kanpur Mandi, wherein a substantial post-harvest loss was actually reduced because they were able to store it at lower temperature. So to conclude, what we have talked till now is, there is definitely a very big problem of post-harvest loss in India, wherein a substantial amount goes waste, and we don't have proper infrastructure facilities. So there is definitely a need for a proper cold chain intervention, wherein the entire commodity could have a very good shelf life. And this does not mean only maintenance of temperature, but also humidity and other atmospheric factors, wherein in combined, the shelf life could definitely be include, and that will definitely help in reducing the post-harvest shelf life of the commodity. And there is indeed a very urgent need for policy intervention and investment, so that a cold chain is developed in India. So these are few of the references, and this is a contact if anyone wants to have a word with the kind of products we are having. They could indeed talk with our national sales head. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anand Prakash, for an excellent presentation and talk. I now request the participants to ask their questions. We'll also be posting the speakers' contact details in the chat window. Now over to the participants for questions. Can I request the participants to start asking questions if there are any? Can indicate by putting on your mic. Would be interested to post questions. Question from Mr. Mohan now.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Lakshmipathy. And good afternoon and wonderful presentation, and Dr. Anand Prakash. This is Mohan Rao. I'm into the cold storage line last 27 years in Guntur. I hope you heard about the Guntur for the dry red chilies, world famous Michi yard is there, and I'm having 3 cold storages since 25 years. My question is, the one you actually in our presentation you have shown 8 by 8 and some 6, some size cold storage with the solar facilities you have shown. You have only such type of portable and a small cold storage, or still you have used to work for the bigger capacity, because my capacity is 9,000 tons capacity storage. So what maximum capacity your company can produce?
So at present we have this capacity, but definitely we could get in touch with this our team, wherein depending on the customization we could customize it as well. But at present that is the capacity we have.
And how about the maintenance? Because your model will well suited to our places, and even the fruits and vegetables farmers, where the area they produce a lot, and such type of small nano cold storage should be located at the yielding place, and farmers can utilize your services, whatever the time duration, depending upon the each vegetables, like 10 days, 8 days or something. Um, could you have any idea how much the price range, and what is the maintenance of your product?
So basically for that we have a separate team. As I told, maybe you could contact this number, who would definitely help you out in all the logistics. We have different models, uh, like service model and lease model and other things. So this person could definitely help you out in your queries. So we would be more than happy if you could share your details, and maybe our team could reach out to you.
Because why so detailed and so authentically I can talk about this subject is, I'm basically engineer and architect, and I am into this line last 27 years, and I am the president and association for this Guntur state, and as well as the AP state. I am the association president. So I attended domestic and international fairs, and definitely this will be more optimal, subject to if you don't have any headaches in the maintenance. And one more technical question I would like to ask, doctor, regarding the what do you call humidity. It depends upon each vegetable. So you have that system in
Exactly.
this thing.
Yes, sir. We have it. We have it. Even if we can add external humidifier as well, depending on the commodity. That
Yeah.
should not be a problem.
My final question is, I do try to contact your Mr. Sriranga Deshpande. My name is Mohan Rao. And if they can send me more technical details and material, something stuff, because so many farmers and the young entrepreneurs will be contacting me to the association, and I will be guiding that, because we're having around 171 cold storages, and all are very massive size in Guntur district alone. I think the district thickly populated cold storage community is there in only Guntur, because we usually store dry red chilies and turmeric. So kindly put a
Great.
word to Deshpande that I will be contacting him, so that
Sure.
let him send.
Meanwhile, maybe if you could share your number, we would be happy to note down, and maybe our team could also reach out to you. That should not be a problem.
I don't know. I think yeah, I will tell you. You can note down if you want.
Sure, sure,
91
sure. Yes, sir.
9182
Yes, sir.
446344.
Sure, sir. 9182446344.
Yeah. My name is Mohan Rao, and I am the association president for the AP state. And my cold storage is Ramya Cold Storage. We are having 3 cold storage. Thank you, sir. Thank you, doctor. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your
Thank you,
inputs.
Lakshmipati ji.
Thank you. You're welcome, Mr. Mohan. Any other questions, please? Any other questions? Maybe questions may be coming up later also. They can be directed to the speaker to the person who has been indicated in the contact address given by the speaker. And that I think we are coming to the end of this session. We have no more questions, looks like. And I'd like to thank the speaker, Dr. Anand Prakash, on behalf of Agriculture Information, for taking his time to speak with us. I now request the organizer of the meeting, Ms. Rajini Jain, to please close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati. I like to thank the speaker, Mr. Anand Prakash, for taking the time to talk with us. I also like to thank all the participants for their time. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you, thank you very much. So, hello.
Yes, Mr. Anand. Dr. Anand,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. So I just also wanted to know that how we could get the recording of this session, ma'am.
You can write a mail. You can send a mail to Dhanlakshmi or Rajini. It will be gladly sending you the video.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So I could leave, sir. No. Yeah.
Please,
Yes, we
thank
can.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.